spring day. Gonna till really soon, but I want to tell you about this new that's just being funny, Oregon tiller that is made in the USA, all right? Just like the Ideal tiller that's also 48 inches wide that we sell. And in fact, I decided to get these tillers in here because looking at the specs, they were so similar. It was, you know, both made in the USA, 48 inches, all the same great features, the same blades per rotor, all that kind of stuff. And it was essentially interchangeable, price points too. And Oregon just wanted to come out with their own attachment line, okay? And so they own another company that manufactures attachments, and that's who they used to manufacture these. The idea behind it was to partner with Tractor Supply and offer a higher end alternative, at least what I think, compared to some of the other brands that TSC was carrying. So whether that pans out or not, I wanted to be one of the first to get these here because it's coming from a reputable company that's been around for a long time. And let's take you through it really quick, and then we'll do a field test. All right, we got to start somewhere, so we're going to talk about the quick hitch compatibility first. Category 1, quick hitch compatible. You can see hooks right up to the Speco quick hitch. It'll also fit directly to Category 1 3-point arms. You do not need a quick hitch. If you want to put on an iMatch, that kind of thing, your Land Pride quick hitch, Harbor Freight, all those will work. Something I actually never really even talk about because I always just assume, which is bad of me, but the PTO shaft is included. I can't think of a single attachment that we sell that doesn't include the PTO shaft, but it's not always called out in the listing. So worth mentioning, we did have to cut down the PTO shaft 2 to 3 inches, something like that, to fit on the Summit here, even with the quick hitch on there, which pushes it further back. So shafts typically are gonna be, they're coming out of the factory one length, right? Because you can always cut it down to fit on your tractor, but you can't really add the length back on. So you may have to cut it down, you may not, and that goes for not just this tiller here, but any tractor attachment with a PTO shaft. Now it is going to come standard with a slip clutch on there. There's no shear pin or shear bolt. It's going to be a slip clutch, and then that feeds through the drive line, the gearbox here, and down into an actual gear driven. It's not chain driven, it's gear drive on this, which is typically going to be more robust. Not that chain drive really have that many issues, but in the industry, it's, I think, pretty commonly accepted that a gear drive mechanism is going to be a stronger, more robust attachment than a chain drive. Now, pretty common, we did have to fill up the gearbox with gear oil, an 85-90 weight. Right in there is all you're going to need, and that's really common. Most of the time, gearboxes are going to ship dry, and that's just due to like federal regulations and shipping things with liquids and all that kind of stuff. So typically count on having to fill your gearbox there with gear oil, and that's okay, easy enough to do. Worth noting, what you see here is going to be your manual storage tube, and most attachments are going to have something like this on there. So take a look for that, just screw it off and keep it right in there. Something that is actually a little bit different than the Ideal tiller, as little or as maybe insignificant as it seems, I really like this kickstand. It just rocks up and down. It's just really, I don't know, the simple things in life, right? But it's just a little easy mechanism there to rock it this, just like that. Rock it this way, lock it down if you need to. Obviously, other way back up. I don't know why. I like it. It's a simple, nice design. You'll see all these holes, all right? This front leg on the skid runner is going to be stationary, and then you can adjust, you know, your depth by adjusting this hole right here on the backside. So it kind of swings down and up, and then you just lock it in where you want to and get your adjustment that way. With this raised up as high as possible, that means the tiller is going to go down as far as it possibly can, and obviously reverse that to get a shallower till. All right, so of course, pretty standard, you're going to have a swinging tailgate that you can lock up in a variety of positions depending on what you want your finish to look like. So we'll lock that up now. You're not normally going to till with it up like this, but I suppose you can if you want to. Just get a good look underneath here at all the tines on the flanges. You're going to have 4 blades per flange, all right? And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flanges on there. So 6 times 4, 24 blades overall. These are kind of a C shape that's on there. They are all individually bolted on. You can typically get replacement blades at like a place like TSC or Farm and Fleet, whatever it is like that, or online too. You can get those. They're all typically fairly interchangeable. A couple notes on tilling though. Typically you don't want to start out taking a full depth pass the first time around, especially if it's untilled ground or hasn't been tilled in a long time. Plan on taking multiple passes. That first one kind of, well, the first pass is going to make the second pass a lot better, and it's going to make it perfection typically. You know, I mean, if it's got a ton of sod in it, you may need to till it up, come back after a week or something, and then till it up again. Just depends, but don't plan on getting the max depth right away in one pass all the time. Normally plan on a couple passes. I think on that note though, you don't always have to go to the maximum depth that you can with a tiller. I think this one's rated for 6 or 7 inches. It'll say in the listing. You don't need to go 6 or 7 inches down. I mean, oftentimes you can go just a few inches. Depends what your application is, what you're doing. If you're putting in a food plot or a garden, you know, and you have to turn over and mix in a lot of organic matter, maybe you do want to go down a little bit deeper just to kind of get more material to mix it up with. If you're doing refinishing a lawn, for example, you know, if you have a lot of existing sod there, maybe depending on the depth of those roots, you want to get everything churned up and mixed up so you have a really nice, consistent, smooth seed bed. That can make a difference as well. You know, so application specific, don't always think you need to go to the max depth. If you do the same depth yearly, like in your garden, you could develop a layer of hard pan underneath there. If you're always going 4 inches down, for example, that top 4 inches is going to kind of remain, you know, fluffy or soft, but then right underneath there, you could develop a layer of hard pan because that just never gets worked up. So it could pay to mix up your tilling depth a little bit or get a different tool to periodically work up that soil deeper. And of course, if you're into the no-till thing, then ignore all of this. And if you didn't notice a sticker on here, there is a 3-year gearbox warranty and a 1-year overall warranty on the entire unit itself. Good question that came up in an earlier video on this project was if we marked for underground lines, and yeah, we did. We had Misdig out here and they marked everything, and there's nothing in this area. That's why there's no flags. And in some earlier videos over the winter, you can probably see it's been marked out here 2 or 3 times actually, and all the flags are further up the driveway coming from the power lines overhead and everything else. So we're in the clear here, so that's a good thing. Makes it easy when you don't have to work around buried lines of any kind. And you might notice for the keen eye that this is I did a wardrobe change, I think. I'm assuming I did because this is a different day. This is like a week later now that we're actually doing this test. You know, things get interrupted all the time running a business, and so we just kind of roll with it. And you'll notice that from time to time on our channel. And then the weather was wet. We got some rain, some cold weather, and so we wanted to dry out a bit. And probably could have waited another day, but I think today is good enough. It's spring, right? So we want to get this ground worked up and get seed planted in there, and we're working with what we have. So you're looking at a mixture of existing sod and then worked up areas. So it's kind of just a hodgepodge of everything where we ripped out all of these stumps, and we're just gonna get this kind of leveled out and reseeded. And I think it's hard to beat a tiller for this kind of project where you can just rip up and mix up all of whatever you got, right? Just all the organic matter that's in there. I'm not tilling very deep. We don't have this set very all that deep here. I'm not even lowering it all the way. Just need to get those top few inches worked up on there. You don't need to go 7. I don't think I need to go 7 inches down in the dirt here to do anything. I just want to get the holes kind of leveled out, evened out. I'm going to do a couple of passes. You'll be able to see, I think, a difference between the first pass and the second pass. The first one, you'll start to see more of those grass clumps that are kind of broken up but still on the surface, and then come that second pass is when they really get chopped up pretty well, and for the most part just kind of disappear and integrate into the topsoil. And it's a little deceiving as well because it does look kind of fluffy and almost like it's higher than the grade that's all around it, and it is like that for now, but that's what happens right after you till. It does kind of fluff up and aerate the soil a little bit, and then you give it a couple of days, maybe 2-3 days, or a good rain, and it's going to settle down and compact down and get right back to the grade that you want. I do think I may run the dethatcher across this after that happens, just to get out any sticks and anything else. Although I'm not seeing a whole lot. We'll see how that does. But the dethatcher works as a good way to kind of make some grooves and help get that seed to soil contact. The seed kind of then settles down into those grooves and has a better opportunity to germinate and have success. Okay folks, easy job for the tiller. First time using this Oregon tiller, and again, really interchangeable with the ideal tiller that we sell as well. There's a chance that Dirt Dog does come out with a 48-inch version sometime in the future. Been talking to them a little bit about that, and it's something they've got kind of, well, you know, in the works at some level. I don't know how serious they are or not with it right now, but we do carry the Dirt Dog tillers for the 5, 6, and 7 foot. Great pieces of equipment as well. But that's the reason that we look elsewhere for the 4 foot, is that Dirt Dog doesn't offer those. And so a couple of fine options here. Now we're going to have our Befco seeders here anytime now, which is really working out quite well. Perfect timing. Going to get this seeded here. You'll be able to see the process, you know, and kind of the whole transformation from, you know, the trees that were cut down, the stumps, digging them out, filling it back in, doing a rough grade, a good grade like this, maybe that dethatching right before seeding, and then the seeding, and then watch the germination, the whole process. You'll see videos in the summer too and in the fall how this turns out. We're on the right track here though. This is going to come along pretty good. So hopefully this specific video shows you the versatility of a tiller. You think about doing gardens with it or food plots, that kind of thing, but we've shown you working up lanes. If you want to put in a gravel driveway, chopping up the topsoil, making it easy to remove and then reuse somewhere else. This is for a yard renovation that we're talking about right here. If you have a really rough, ruddy yard, it's hard to beat a tool like this to really chop up and loosen up all the soil consistently. You can then go through and do a final grade if you want to and get it just as perfect as you want. But I know that these are expensive tools, and so if you can help justify that purchase by seeing other applications for it, that certainly goes a long ways. Now, if you're looking for a tiller or anything else for your tractor, we'd love to earn your business. Check out goodworkstractors.com. Our prices include free shipping, rewards, and financing too. And we have a pretty unique channel here. We talk about tractors and tractor attachments and show projects, but I also give you kind of some business insights, you know, how I operate my business, maybe try to relate on how you can grow your business or start a new business as well. If you want to know more, make sure you hit that subscribe button to tag along. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to stop by, and until next time, stay safe. We'll see you soon.